Good old Dave Filoni, often considered the protege of George Lucas. For better or for worse, he is responsible for the way much of the modern Star Wars canon has been shaped. His work on the 3D Clone Wars series is often considered the pinnacle of his creativity, being jointly responsible for the creation of characters like Ahsoka Tano, and filling in the gap between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But compared to most creatives, he comes across as very approachable. If you've ever listened to the way he talks, he's very chill. He seems like the kind of guy you want to enjoy a cold one with, while talking about Star Wars for hours on end. But did you know in the early 2000s, his laid-back attitude was next level? A fan on Twitter has uncovered some interviews from early Clone Wars featurettes, and let's just say Dave seemed like he was hitting the spice tea a bit too hard back in the day. Just check out this clip of him talking about Jedi cutting shapes with their lightsabers.
I have always wanted to do a scene at the Jedi Temple where the kids are practicing cutting shapes. I think circles are the most often cut shape, but Barriss cuts a square. I have no idea why. Maybe because she's a bit more square. Maybe because she's a bit more square. There must be a scene somewhere where Yoda's teaching these kids and they have like a target shape they're supposed to cut, and some of the kids are cutting circles but they're more like ovals, and he's like, no. Squares, and it ends up like a rhombus, and he's like, no. Is that part of their Jedi training? I mean, she cuts a pretty nice rectangle. I have no idea why. You ever try to draw a perfect circle? It's almost impossible. So when you think of it for a human being, so maybe Barriss is just not. She's kind of like a shape revolutionist.
The man has his detractors, and some say he's been a bad influence for Star Wars canon, but you can't deny his excitement is contagious. The way he gets obsessed about small details which many fans overlook. I've always been a big fan of Dave, but the way he blows his mind there when describing Barriss's square is just hilarious. In the clip you just saw, he was rather calm, but now check out this clip of him on the other end of the excitement scale, this time talking about General Grievous's duel against Darth Koth. One moment he's geeking out over lightsaber geometry, and the next he's talking about a full Jedi showdown as if he's woken up from a nap.
Grievous Intrigue is your kind of episode. If you haven't seen it, and you haven't, too bad, because you really want to see this episode. Right off the bat, lightsaber fight. Blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. Now we're going to get into a detail here. Dave, is Darth Koth still alive? Because I thought he was on a gunship in Geonosis. I didn't see him die. I don't know. I looked up in the source book.
That's the magic of Dave Filoni. He doesn't just make Star Wars, he lives it. And this enthusiasm went into the DNA of the show. I'd honestly forgotten just how much of a vibe he is. And that's what made the Clone Wars so special. It wasn't polished, it wasn't always corporate storytelling, it was messy, passionate, and experimental. So maybe he sounded like he was on a different planet, but it's great he was focused on the smallest considerations. In The Phantom Menace, we see Qui-Gon plunge his saber into a blast door and melt a circular hole, but Dave asked the question, how did Jedi learn this? Is this something Yoda taught the younglings? Is it something they learned at the Jedi Temple? Say what you will about the Ahsoka show, canon inconsistencies and retcons, Dave Filoni's generally been amazing at connecting the wider Star Wars universe. What do you guys think?